In 2020, a lot of things are changing throughout the sports landscape. The Washington Redskins are now called the Washington Football Team, and now the Cleveland Indians are making a name change as well. Listen up for my Pub Sports Radio hot topic of the day. I'm Donnie Seymour, and this is your Pub Sports Radio hot topic of the day. A lot of things are changing, including the names of some popular sporting events and teams. We've already seen the Washington Redskins change their name to the Washington Football Team in hopes of coming up with a more creative logo and team nickname in the future. Hopefully they can reach out to the Native Americans and ask for a way that they can actually honor them, as opposed to use the name Redskins, which is a slur. And yes, the logo with the 50-yard line of a Native American with a red face and calling your team the Redskins in 2020, probably not going to fly anymore at that point. But now we look at the Cleveland Indians here, looking to change their name as well after well over 100 years of being called the Indians. To me, I never looked at the Indians' name as an actual slur. Now, Chief Wahoo was one of their alternative logos that they had. They did away with it a few years ago, and rightfully so. In this day and age, you can't have a caricature of a Native American or an Indian. That had to go, but I don't understand the changing of the name Indians because I think it's a matter of pride. You know, the Cleveland Indians going into battle. The Indians are a source of pride. I actually don't see it through a racial lens in any capacity because when we're taking a look, even forget about the racial implications, but everything that's changing so much over the past couple years, the Civil War game between Oregon and Oregon State. Some people say it has racial connotations back to the Civil War. I never looked at it like that. Just looked at it as a cool name between two teams playing in-state out west in Oregon. The Red River Shootout between Oklahoma and Texas. Never once did I think oh my goodness, this might spur violence in the streets because the name is a shootout, so they change it to the Red River Rivalry. Also down in Jacksonville between the Florida Gators and the Georgia Bulldogs. As you take a look at that game, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. I never once looked at that game and said, let me drink and drive and get in my car. That's not the connotation I take out of these names. So now when we look at the Indians changing their name, what are they going to change it to? Are they going to reach out to the Native Americans to say, how can we honor you? Or are they just going to scrap the name altogether? Because also, as I said, my upbringing here didn't lead me down that road to say, I'm going to look at everything in a racial tone and see how it can offend me. Now, maybe it does offend some people. It didn't offend me. And I'm not a Native American, so maybe you could take my words out of the conversation and only listen to the people that may actually be offended. But I don't think the Cleveland Indians put that name in as a racial slur as opposed to more of a pride symbol toward Native Americans and Indians of the past. Now, as we take a look here, the Seminoles, some other teams that we talk about that might have to change their name. How about the Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs? They still, I don't know, they still do the war chant just like they do down in Florida State. But when you take a look at the Florida State Seminoles getting the blessing of the Seminoles tribe, but you also have a guy running in on a horse called Renegade with a painted face with a flaming spear and drilling it into the 50-yard line. Yeah, looks cool, looks great, fires up the football team, but maybe it's like, that caricature in 2020 maybe doesn't be around. Again, keep in mind, I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan, so the Florida State culture, to me, is fine. It's a great way to open a game, especially if it's a big game. If Florida State ever gets good again, that'll be back in the national spotlight. But they always ask for them to change that as well. Take a look at the smaller schools, the Central Michigan Chippewas, or even the William and Mary Tribe. There are a lot of different things that we're going to look forward to in 2020 and beyond, as if those names are going to actually stay here. Also, in Chicago, the Blackhawks coming into, hey, pretty soon they're going to take their eyes off the Indians. Who can we go look across the scene now? Oh, the Blackhawks are going to have to ask them to change their name. So I was joking on Twitter a little bit earlier and put out a tweet saying, hey, here's a logo of a Black Hawk helicopter, and maybe they'll have to change their logo to this to try to appease everybody. My only thing here with 2020 moving forward is we don't have to look at everything through a racial lens and find a few people who are offended to make changes. We should be smart enough to know that when you're looking at these teams and these names, I don't think they're based off of racial slurs, and the meaning of the word was a racial slur, and that city is proud of the racial slur, being the Blackhawks. I don't think the Chicago Blackhawks, their fans or even, team thinks that's an actual slur. I don't know about the Cleveland Indians. Again, remove Chief Wahoo from the equation. It's a fantastic name and a great way to represent the culture of the Indians of the past, and also, as I said, the Native Americans. There's nothing wrong with that. Everything is changing here in 2020. We have to understand it, but sometimes change, not always for the better. I'm Donnie Seymour for Pub Sports Radio, and this was your hot topic of the day.